In this lesson, we're going to take a look at finding the area of a triangle. It's important to remember that area refers to the space taken up inside the shape. For the area of a triangle, we use the equation half the base multiplied by the height. During loads of examples, hopefully this equation will become second nature. Once we remember it, finding the area of a triangle becomes pretty easy. It's important to remember our equation to find the area of a triangle. Remember, it is half the base multiplied by the height of the triangle. If we look at our yellow triangle first, we can see that the base running along the bottom of the triangle is 8 centimeters in length. So, half the base times the height. Half the base, so we're finding half of 8, which is 4. And we have to multiply that by the height of the triangle, which is 6. So 4 multiplied by 6, 24. And because it's area, it's in centimeters squared. Looking at our other triangle, on the right side, we can see that the base in this one is 5 centimeters in length, and the height is 9. So using our equation, it is half the base times the height. Well, half the base is 5, so half of that is 2.5, and we're multiplying it by the height of 9. Quite a tricky one to solve, so we'll do ourselves a vertical sum. 2.5 multiplied by 9. 9 times 5 is 45, 5 down, 4 over, decimal points all on a line. 9 times 2 is 18, plus your 4 is 22. So my answer and my area of the second triangle is 22.5 centimeters squared. Again, we must remember our equation for finding the area of a triangle. Half the base multiplied by the height. And we'll keep this in the centre as a reminder. So working on our triangle on the left, we can see that the base is 10 centimeters in length. So I put my equation in, half the base times the height. So half the base, half of 10 is 5. My height, you can see, is 7 centimeters. 5 times 7, 35 centimeters squared. In our second triangle, we can see the base of 13 centimeters in length. And the height running perpendicular is 6 centimeters. So again, we write out our equation, half the base times the height. The base being 13, so half of that is 6.5, and my height is 6 centimeters. Again, another tricky one because of the decimal point, so we'll use a vertical sum, 6.5 multiplied by 6. 6 fives are 30, 0 down, 3 over, decimal points on the line. 6 times 6 is 36, plus the 3, 39. So my answer is 39 centimeters squared. Triangle number 1 has a base of 6 centimeters and a height of 7. Let's put down our equation, half the base multiplied by the height. The base being 6, half of that is 3, multiplied by our height of 7, giving us an area of 21 centimeters squared. Now on to triangle 2. We can see that the base is 6 centimeters again. This time its height is 4. So we have our equation of half the base times the height. The base being 6, half of that is 3. We're multiplying it by the height of 4, giving me an answer of 12 centimeters squared. Triangle number 3, the base is 4 centimeters. Its height is 65 centimeters. So again, our equation of half the base multiplied by the height. Half of 4 is 2, and we're multiplying that by 65. 2 65s are 130, and that is centimeters squared because it's area. My triangle on the left has a base of 6 centimeters and a height of 9 centimeters. Remembering our equation of half the base multiplied by the height. Half of 6 is 3. My height is 9. 3 multiplied by 9 gives me an area of 27 centimeters squared. My triangle on the right has a base of 10 centimeters and a height of 8 centimeters. Again, my equation, half the base multiplied by the height. Half of 10 is 5. My height is 8. Multiply 5 by 8 gives me an area of 40 centimeters squared. In this problem, we already have the area and we have to figure out what the height of our triangle is. So again, we still use our same equation of half the base times the height equals the area, which we know being 30 centimeters squared. So half of my base would be 6 because the base is 12, and I have to times that by my height, which we need to figure out, would be equal to 30. So 6 times something equals 30. So if I divide my 30 by 6, I figure out that my h is 5 centimeters. Again, we don't know our height in each of these triangles. So I'm going to begin on the left. We know that the base is 14 centimeters and its area right in the center is 21 centimeters squared. So if we put down our equation of half the base multiplied by the height, which we have to find, would be equal to 21. So half of my base would be 7 times my height equals 21. So 7 times something equals 21. If I divide 7 into 21, I find that my height is 3 centimeters. My triangle on the right, my base is 8 centimeters. My area, written in the center, is 64 centimeters squared, and we need to find the height. So we put down our equation again of half the base multiplied by the height, which in this occasion equals 64. So half of my base would be 4 times my height, which we need to find, equals 64. So I need to do a division sum of 4 into 64. Quite tricky, so we can write ourselves out a division step. 4 into 64. 4 into 6 goes once, 2 left over. 4 into 24 goes 6 times, so my h equals 16 centimeters. This is a common exam style question where you're asked to figure out the area of the triangle within a grid. Now the problems lie in the fact that lots of people get confused and they use this length as their height, or feeling that they use this length as their height. So my base in this question runs from A to B. And a quick count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My base is 6 centimeters in length. My height, well, it runs from C down to a point in A and B. So this length shows my height. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 centimeters long. So my base is 6 centimeters and my height is 8 centimeters. Once we have that information, we can go back to our equation. Half my base times the height. My base is 6, half of that is 3. I'm multiplying it by my height of 8. So if I multiply out 3 times 8, 24 centimeters squared is the area inside that triangle. This is an exam question found in a transfer paper. So the question wants us to look at the grid below. Each of the squares are 1 centimeter long. Triangle ABC is drawn in the grid. So we have to work out what the area of the triangle ABC is. We have to write our answer in the space below. It's important that we write onto the triangle the lengths that we know and the lengths that we need. So our base running from B to C, we count the squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 centimeters long. And then our height, well, it runs from A down to a point in BC, going down like so. If we count our line for our height, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it is 6 centimeters. Now we can use our equation of half the base multiplied by our height. Our base is 8, half of that is 4. Our height has been worked out to be 6 centimeters. So 4 times 6 24 centimeters squared. This is another question found in an exam paper. So we have to look at the triangle below. It's a right angle triangle. As we can see, the 90-degree angle is already shown to us in the corner. We know that the base of the triangle is 13 centimeters. We have the height of 6 centimeters. And we know that this diagonal side of the triangle is 15 centimeters. This 15 centimeter length often throws a lot of people. We don't actually need to use it whenever we're working out the area, but we will need it in part A of the question, where we have to find the perimeter of the triangle. So perimeter is the distance all the way around. So from one point all the way around the triangle, back to where you started. And it's simply a matter of adding up the three sides. So it is 15 plus 13 plus 6. 6 and 3 are 9, plus the 5 is 14. 1, 1 and 1 are 3. So my perimeter is 34 centimeters. Question B, I have to find the area of the triangle, and I write it in the space below. So my base is 13 centimeters in length, and my height is 6 centimeters. If we use our equation of half the base times the height, base is 13, half of that is 6.5, 6.5, and I'm multiplying it by 6. Again, because it's got a decimal point, it can be tricky, so we'll write a vertical sum out to make sure that we get it correct. No point trying it mentally if we can write ourselves out a sum and make sure we get it right. So 6 times 5 is 30, 0 down, 3 over, decimal points on the line. 6 3s are 36, plus the 3 is 39. So my area of that triangle is 39 centimeters squared. In this question shown, I would like you to work out the area of the triangle for me. Remember to use the equation of half the base multiplied by the height. At this point in the video, you may choose to pause it while you do your working out. Okay, so let's see how we get on with finding the area of the triangle. So our equation of half the base times the height, the base being 10 centimeters, half of that is 5. We can quite clearly see that our height in the triangle is 6 centimeters, so our area would be 30 centimeters squared. Because we're dealing with area, it is in squared measurements. With this triangle, I would like you to work out the area for me. Remember, the area is the space inside, and we're going to measure it in centimeters squared. Remember to use your equation of half the base multiplied by the height. At this point, you may choose to pause your video while you do your working out. Okay, let's work through it together and see if we got the same answer. So half of my base is 16, so half of that is 8. My height is 20, so I'm multiplying 8 by 20. Quite a tricky sum at first look, but 8 times 2 is 16, and then put your 0 back on to give me an area of 160 centimeters squared. Again, with this question, I would like you to work out for me the area inside of the triangle, which will be in centimeters squared again. At this point, you may choose to pause your video whilst you do your working out. Let's go through it together and see if we get the correct answer. So my equation of half the base times the height has to be used. My base in this question is 7 centimeters long. Half of that is 3.5, and I'm multiplying that by the height, which is 10. 3.5 then multiplied by 10, we just move our decimal point one place to the right, giving me an answer of 35 centimeters squared. Alternatively, if I were to rotate my triangle around and use my 10 centimeters as my base and my 7 centimeters as my height, we can still use the same equation. So half my base times my height. If I use my 10 for my base, half of that would be 5, my height would be 7, and I would still get 35 centimeters squared.